It's about the restoration of our republic. We want to educate, encourage, enable the power. We stand for integrity, honesty, self-reliance, self-defense, and most importantly, no compromise on our foundational principles. This is America's Voice Now.
Find America's Voice Now on Facebook and at americasvoicenow.org. Here's Michael Evans.
All right. Good morning, America. You're listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Michael Evans. I'm your host. We are in our third segment of today. Today is October 16th. It's a little after 9 o'clock in the morning. You know, I'm a fan or a supporter of a lot of the things that Reagan did, but I'm also very critical of Reagan in a number of areas. And I know, you know, the conservative movement looks at Reagan, you know, in an almost deified manner. And I don't want to take anything away from that, but I do want to make a point that, you know, not everything that Reagan did was great because he was compromised by the situation he found himself. And that's the problem, is that our government routinely compromises anyone who tries to be involved in it. But I want to read you a stump speech that he made at a number of different speaking engagements, and he basically made the same speech a number of times. But he made this speech in 1964 in support of Barry Goldwater's presidential campaign. And I think it's telling because it's appropriate for our time and our situation right now. So I'm going to read it to you, and I'll do a little inflection on it just so that it carries a little weight. I'm going to talk of controversial things, and I make no apology for this. It's time that we asked ourselves if we still know the freedoms intended for us by the Founding Fathers. James Madison said, "We base all our experiments on the capacity of mankind for self-government." This idea that government was beholden to the people, that it had no other source of power, is still the newest, most unique idea in all the long history of man's relation to man. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government, or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives better for us than we can plan them ourselves. You and I are told we must choose between a left or a right. But I suggest that there is no such thing as a left or right. There is only an up or down. Up to man's age-old dream, the maximum of individual freedom consistent with order, or down to the ant-heap of totalitarianism. Regardless of their sincerity, our humanitarian motives, those who would sacrifice freedom for security, have embarked on this downward path. Plutarch warned us, the real destroyer of the liberties of the people is he who spreads among them bounties, donations, and benefits. The Founding Fathers knew a government can't control the economy without controlling people. And they knew when a government sets out to do that, it must use force and coercion to achieve its purpose. So we have come to a time of choosing. Public servants say, always with the best of intentions, what greater service we could render if only we had a little more money and a little more power. But the truth is that outside of its legitimate function, government does nothing as well or as economically as the private sector. Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being opposed to their humanitarian goals. It seems impossible to legitimately debate their solutions with the assumption that all of us share the desire to help the less fortunate. They tell us we're always against, never for anything. We are for a provision that destitution should not follow unemployment by reason of old age. And to that end, we have accepted Social Security as a step towards meeting the problem. However, we are against those entrusted with this program when they practice deception regarding its fiscal shortcomings. When they charge that any criticism of the program means that we want to end payments. We are for aiding our allies by sharing our material blessings with nations which share our fundamental beliefs. But we are against doling out money government to government, creating bureaucracies, if not socialism, all over the world. We need true tax reform that will at least make a start towards restoring for our children the American dream that wealth is denied to no one, and that each individual has the right to fly as high as his strength and ability will take him. But we cannot have such reform while our tax policy is engineered by people who view the tax as a means of achieving changes in our social structures. Do we have the courage and the will to face up to the immorality and discrimination of a progressive tax? To demand a return to traditional proportionate taxation? Today in our country, the tax collector's share is 37 cents of every dollar earned. Today it's 50, by the way. Freedom has never been so fragile, so close to slipping from our grasp. Are you willing to spend time studying the issues, making yourself aware, and then conveying that information to family and friends? Will you resist the temptation to get a government handout for your community? Realize that the doctor's fight against socialized medicine is your fight. We can't socialize the doctors without socializing the patient. Recognize that government invasion of public power is eventually an assault upon your own business. If some among you fear taking a stand because you are afraid of reprisal from customers, clients, or even government itself, recognize that you are just feeding the crocodile, hoping he'll eat you last. If all of this seems like a great deal of trouble, think of what's at stake. We are faced with the most evil enemy mankind has known in his long climb from the swamp to the stars. There can be no security anywhere in the free world if there is no fiscal and economic stability within the United States. Those who ask us to trade our freedom for the soup kitchen of the welfare state are architects of a policy of accommodation. They say the world has become too complex for simple answers. They are wrong. There are no easy answers, but there are simple answers. We must have the courage to do what we know is morally right. Winston Churchill said that, quote, "The destiny of man is not measured by material computation. When great forces are on the move in the world, we learn we are spirits, not animals." There is something going on in time and space. And beyond time and space, whether we like it or not, spells duty. End quote. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We will preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man here on earth. or we will sentence them to take the first step into 1,000 years of darkness. If we fail, at least let our children and our children's children say of us, we justified our brief moment here, and we did all that could be done. I don't think in 5 minutes one could make a better case for the restoration of America, to a restoration of the Constitution to its appropriate place as our guiding and our document of rules and regulations to live by. I don't want to steal any thunder from this speech. It's called A Time of Choosing. And I'll put a link right in the comment section below here where you can find it. But I truly believe that we have reached that time. A time of choosing. Time where we have hit the T in the road. And the choice is not left or right politically. The choice is life or death. As Reagan said, the choice is not left or right. It is up or down. I'm asking you today, where do you stand? A time of choosing is upon us. Make your stand. You've been listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Michael Evans, and I'm your host here. You can find us on the web at americasvoicenow.org. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/America's Voice Now. And you can find this and every other program that we do up on our website and on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/America's Voice Now. Or simply go to America's Voice Now. Find these videos. Today is a time of choosing. Where do you stand? We'll return in just a moment.